Dragon Fear, one of the more unique yet controversial skills we have in the game, both being extremely powerful yet underwhelming. Why is it that one of the most expensive skills is so strong yet so mediocre? Today we will be going through the Dragon Fear skill, why it can be so incredibly impactful and yet so underwhelming, and speaking to its super high potential and how it deserves its title as the most expensive skill players can purchase. So let's begin. The Dragon Fear skill will have a 50% chance at the start of the battle to nullify 2 random enemy dragon skills. To get this out of the way first, although it doesn't say anything about stacking or any unique rally effect, if 2 players both have this skill on their dragon, both will trigger at the start, no stacking onto each other, they will each act individually. Meaning both can trigger and nullify 4 enemy skills, or both fail. As it suggests, completely countering these skills, their whole effects will not take place in the battle, and there will be no limit to this, so you can counter their gathering speed skill, or up to their reroute and enrage skills. The choices are endless with this, which is what makes this one of the most overly powered, underpowered skill in the game. The fact that this skill alone has a 50-50 chance to trigger, then possibly cancel out the opponent's reroute, which in a solo attack, let's say you have 1.5 million troops, this skill is effectively boosting your army size by 150,000 troops. Think about that. It is a reinforced skill times 2.5 effectiveness in this case. Well, we may as well talk about the very high scaling since we're on the topic. With this skill, it is technically the best for these reasons after all. As we discussed, this skill, when it's able to nullify an opponent's reroute with a 1.5 million army, you effectively adding back 150,000 troops. But this will scale without limit, same as for the reroute skill whereby it's capped at 10%. Meaning if your rally had 5 million troops, reroute will redirect 500,000 away from the battle. And in this case, Dragon Fear, if it did nullify the opponent's reroute skill, is the power equal to over 8 individual reinforced skills combined plus a little extra. And utilizing Fear to counter the enemy's Dragon Enraged skill. While we already have a video explaining just how powerful it is, here we will simplify it. In a very basic term, at level 9, let's assume the army will fully die in maybe an alliance conquest solo building attack. At the start, our armies will build up additional attack boosts, which we convert to army size effectively. At the start, this is 4.5%, or 45,000 troops per million, at half army remaining. When at its greatest effect, it is 12.5% attack, or 125,000 troops per million. Slowly reducing back down to the 4.5%, the table is shown here, assuming only one opponent dragon has the enraged effect for this video. Scaling with rallies, nullify is extremely powerful. Now let's reverse and say we're attacking an enemy castle in a sea. Hitting will be tough with our 1.5 million army. And let's say we're so super strong we kill a majority of their 5 million defense for this example. During the battle, their enraged will average out to about 9.16 additional attack, or about 91,600 more troops of effective damage, which is multiplied by 5 for the 5 million enemy defense, giving us the total of 458, 333 average troops worth of additional damage, which is going to be nullified by Dragon Fear if it triggered and hit the enemies in rage. Crazy, right? I wouldn't jump so quickly to be buying this skill. Before we even start talking about its real-time strategy relevance, while this skill may seem extremely overpowered, well, in honesty, it's probably the most underpowered due to its inconsistency. The idea of in a rally nullifying both their reroute and enrage skill, effectively giving yourself 500,000 troops and making their enrage useless, reducing their overall additional damage they'd gain otherwise by 458,000 troops. This is the best case scenario. Don't blame me, I'm also crazy enough to be the one that thinks obsession beats talent and we cannot end on a loss type 2. But let's keep it more realistic. If we buy this skill, we got a gambling addiction. But just to really etch your curiosity, we did say that since this skill has its own individual effect, on average every 2 dragons with this skill can nullify 2 enemy dragon skills. Let's say this is in a rally, with the best case scenario just to have a little fun with it. Saying the opponent has full 3 stacks of enrage, full stack of reroute, and our dragons magically nullified all of these skills with our 3 lucky dragfire. Cause who the hell uses sapphire, am I right? Well, to make it at absolute extreme, it's a rally against a 15 million troop castle, so per 10% loss is 15% damage boost. The average damage boosting is 27.5, of course we're killing all of them. Their average damage boost in terms of troops is 4,125,000 troops. And the reverse of this, we undefense and we nullify both their reroute skills, stacking to 15% against our 15 million defense, will total to effectively gaining 2.25 million troops back into the battle. Now, more importantly, how would we rate this skill? We'll have to look at it from two different perspectives. Firstly, for solo players, this skill won't take priority over more general skills which always guarantee their value. Skills like reroute, reinforce, and enrage are always going to perform very well for nearly any player. But the best use for this skill is nearly always in a rally or heavy defense in events like Alliance Conquest or Champion Castle Siege. When we have multiple players with this skill, this is where fear is unique. Not limited by a rally stack or a max out on skills to nullify, it is limited only by its chance to activate and how many players have the skill. At least in top alliances battle, where the main skills will nearly always be capped out in rallies, fear will be unique in this situation and likely provide significant value to the rally or defense. All its solo value may not be too relevant, but the potential and rally effectiveness it can have cannot be ignored once more teams utilize its power. Thanks for watching.